Hi, I'm Mike Cassidy. I'm the storyteller at BloomReach in Silicon Valley. And I'm here today with Scott Bales, or Scott Bales is here with me. He's the author of Mobile Ready, Connecting the Untethered Customer, which is something that's interesting to us here at BloomReach and obviously to Scott. So first, Scott, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
I wonder, just to get started, could you talk a bit about the premise of the book? For those of us who survived on Cliff's Notes in high school and college,
Yeah.
and Spark Notes for the younger set.
Yeah,
What's it about?
yeah, so the premise of the book really is I spent a lot of time consulting to organizations that are shifting towards digital and mobile. And the book really is the key things that it's just the same mistake that organizations are making time and time again. And that's really is that mobile as a shift in the world, it's without question we are shifting to mobile. But the mistake most organizations make is they focus on the technology that's involved. They talk about iBeacon and they talk about iOS versus Android and this device versus that device and so forth. And the reality is none of it is true. The biggest impact is the consumer behavior piece. And so it really comes down to three key premises. Mobile is about context, behavior, and utility.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at a consumer through any lens, if you can speak to those three premises, you go a long, long way to actually building successful mobile ecosystems.
Well, talk about that for a second from the consumer standpoint. I mean, how has this trend, really this kind of major shift, how has it changed consumers? Do they have different expectations now, or what is it that requires organizations to be cognizant of these things you're talking about?
Yeah, very much so. And so what it actually is, it's actually really playing to our instant gratification ego, in that we are so used to having the abundance of information around us that we expect it now. So the example I always give is, you take Union Square in New York, because you could be standing there and go, look, I want chicken teriyaki right now. And in old days, you would have had to either look up a directory, or you might have had a travel guide, or you might have gone back to your desktop to actually find where somewhere something is. But now you can literally type in chicken teriyaki in Yelp or something, and get instantaneous reviews on what's around you, what's available, even to the point where I can book a table, or maybe even order it ahead of my arrival. And that's the kind of instant gratification and behavior that we're really playing to now, is that no longer can brands sort of, hide behind the latency of information. Information is so real time now, so it's really saying, okay, where are they when they speak to us? What do they want to do? And what do they want? And those three key things. I want chicken teriyaki in Union Square, and that's a really simple scenario. And the flip side of this, which is amazing, and there's some bad examples, is it's pushed our instant gratification so hard that we see scenarios like the recent Malaysian Airlines flight disaster, where our hunger for instant information outpaced actual information, to the point where you said everyone was scrutinizing the Malaysian authorities, because we live in a world where now we're like, hang on, we think this, we're seeing that, we're seeing this rumor and that rumor. What, it's sort of things like, oh, it's disappeared in Pakistan, or it's gone down over here. As our desires have shifted to faster information.
Well, let me ask you this: the teriyaki example, by the way, now has me hungry. Thanks a lot. I want my instant gratification. But big surprise. I've got a smartphone. I'm like everybody in the world, or many people in the world, and I'm not sure how well enterprises are handling this situation, because I don't want to type the words chicken teriyaki into a search bar, certainly, and I don't want to have to then take 3 more steps from there to find out where to go, and then maybe 3 or 4 more steps to actually order and purchase my chicken teriyaki. I want to be able to do that without driving myself crazy.
Yeah, so some of the stuff that's coming out of even Google I/O today, which is really about taking that to the next level, is around things like how do we take out more? How do you take input out of that sort of process? There's some really cool stuff that was on demonstrated today with like the Samsung Gear Live and some of the new Google Now services, which says, okay, no longer do I need to go into Yelp and to type that in. I can literally just say to my phone, "Where's teriyaki?" And it'll come back with where it is, what's available, the price of it, the ratings, the rankings. Has Mike been there? Has Scott been there? Very, very quickly. And we again, it's the same thing. Is that even though chicken teriyaki is only 15 letters or something?
Yeah.
You can't wait for you to type that.
Right, right. Well, that makes sense. But so one of the things I've read a bit about is to try to put this in maybe a clumsy way, but obviously mobile's expanding. I mean, nobody would argue that it's going crazy in terms of consumers' usage and reliance on it. And yet it seems like when it comes time to pull the trigger, when it comes time to actually purchase something on, say, an e-commerce site or an m-commerce site, that revenue is growing, but it doesn't seem to be keeping the same sort of pace of growth as the actual traffic to those sites. So people seem to be, I don't know, are they using mobile just for browsing, or how does that work?
So it partially is like, it's part of the truth. Yes, mobile is almost like an awareness tool today. So it's kind of like, I want to buy the latest Chromebook, where can I find one?
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy chicken teriyaki, where can I find it? And it's kind of just a basic search or contextual search. But one of the biggest challenges is the people that actually provide commerce aren't delivering fantastic mobile experiences. And until we really build some fantastic experiences, the volume's not going to be there. The example I just did today, I was down at Airbnb speaking to the executives down there, and they've done a lot of work to shift the experience on mobile to a point where it's really engaging now. It's very simple to search for a property, to go through that process and actually make that booking on mobile for Airbnb. And that's a pretty large transaction, booking and accommodation. No one. I still think the benchmark in sort of mobile commerce and so forth is Uber. They are just so far ahead in experience design here and in consumer understanding that I'm surprised more people haven't tried to get closer to that. Like, Uber knows exactly where you are, they know what you want to do, and what value to give you, almost instantaneous as soon as you open the app.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need more offerings that add that kind of value.
Right, right. How important do you think it is to, I could see where an enterprise would get stuck on one, maybe not stuck, but would either be focused on desktop and that sort of search and experience, or mobile and that kind of search or experience, or they look at mobile and say, geez, that's not a lot of my revenue. Why am I going to spend a lot of time and money on that? What would you say to them about that?
So one of the terms that I like and dislike is called omnichannel. And the reason that I like the term is
I got to stop you. I'm on a campaign to get rid of the word omnichannel. Strike it from the English language. But yeah. Go ahead.
I hate it as a term, but as a describer, I haven't yet found a better way. And it's really saying, and this is the same premise in the book, is all of this has nothing to do with the technology. So mobile versus web versus physical retail should be irrelevant. It should be around, if you have a good relationship with your consumer or your client, you know where they are, what they want to do, and what value can you add. The technology is just an enabler as a part of that. And so one of the things that I struggle is that a lot of traditional, particularly in the retail space, they spend a lot of time just catching up to the Amazons and the eBays of the world, who got the online stuff really, really good back 10 years ago. And it's only been recently that you see big brands like Best Buy and so forth that are really seeing some good results now in online. And all of a sudden now we're shifting to mobile.
Right.
And so the example I always give with Best Buy is that there was a lot of noise they made about people coming into their store and basically showrooming, looking at the latest TVs or product and then scanning the barcode. And it's one of these things that they just haven't caught up with the behavior is, again, people are used to having instant gratification on the information. So if I'm looking for a television, I'm still a touchy-feely kind of guy and television's quite a large purchase. I'm going to make the effort to physically see the television.
Right.
But then I'm back to all this information that I've got from the internet, whether that be desktop, tablet, or mobile, that sort of brings my level of intelligence and awareness up to a whole new level. Yeah, it also means that I can be in the store and say, okay, I want this model Samsung TV, and straight away online go, what's the best price?
Exactly.
And that's something that traditional guys are really struggling with because they're still stuck in it's the 2.0 world, where it's okay, we've moved from 1.0, which is just pure physical retail. 2.0 is kind of static, very static web, and 3.0 is almost social, two-way conversational web, where it's a constant interaction of information and decision making.
Right.
And that's what we need to catch up to.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to pile on to these retailers because it is tough, and to figure out these different channels and how to work them all together, and as basically a channel of one is pretty tricky. But I think we also see where some people miss the boat is not only are they, or if they're even focused across the channels, they don't realize that, well, I'm sure they realize, but they don't take into account that someone who does that search at Best Buy and is maybe looking on their phone during the day might go home and fire up their laptop to make the actual purchase, and when they get there, it's like they're starting all over again. It's, wait a minute, you don't know who I am? I was just looking at this on my mobile phone.
Except Google knew.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where Google is so good at the continuous experience. Like one of the frustrations I have is, so I'm an ex-banker, if anyone knows my background. I spent a lot of time innovating in the banking.
I'll forgive you for that. You've found the right path.
I'm reformed now. I'm redeeming my sins. It's really simple. Think about one of the largest purchases you make in your entire life. It's your home.
Yeah.
And yet banks jam mortgage products down your throat every time, like based on lifestyle. The reality is nobody in their life buys a mortgage. They buy a home. And the experience of buying a home is bigger than just that tiny little product.
Right.
So I saw some really great insights and data from at a Google Think event just last year around, Google knows with like 86% accuracy, 6 months in advance, that you're going to buy a home because you start doing searches on maps. Where's the nearest school, public transport, what's the crime rate there? Like the simple things you would do when you can consider living somewhere. And that's actually when the journey starts, not when you fill out the application form for your mortgage. And there's this whole thing where banks just miss the boat. It's adding value before you walk through their front door.
I think that's actually a great analogy, and maybe a good place for us to wrap things up. So I can give you the rest of your day back, but I gotta say I really appreciate you taking the time, and wish you a lot of luck with the book. I saw it myself on Amazon, right? So if people are looking for it. Yeah.
So Amazon, the Kindle version is available on Amazon today. The hardcover should be up in the next 24 hours. For those people in San Francisco, I'm in the Sonoma district now, and I have a bunch of books with me if you want to come and get it signed. So feel free to reach out to me.
So would you recommend people buy it on their smartphone, tablet, or desktop?
Well, it's a mobile-ready book, so I'm hoping they're either going to buy it on their Kindle, their tablet, or their mobile.
Okay. Listen, thanks a lot, and I hope we visit again soon.
No worries. Thanks for that, Mike.
All righty. So long.